Welcome to Power Poppy. I'm Allison Cope, and today we're going to be working with a little bit of Brusho. Brusho is just a powdered watercolor paint, and we are going to make our background for our card first. So I have some Strathmore watercolor paper here. I'm just going to spray it with my sprayer. I've already got a few crystals apparently on my paper, so I've got it very saturated, and I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is yellow, and I just have a pinprick of a hole in the top, and because it is watercolor, it's basically going to react with the water that's on my paper. So that's our yellow. I'm going to go in with our gamboge, which has some more kind of orangey colors in it. And then last of all, we're going to go on with a red rose. So it doesn't take a lot of pigment to get color because it's very, very saturated. So again, I'm just going to spritz it to get things moving here. I'm just going to hold down the center just a little bit. Maybe I'll go in and work it with my brush here. Just a tiny little bit. Just to get things mixing and to touch any of the white areas. I'm going to go in with a little bit more yellow. I just want to kind of swirly watercolor background. So I'm going to hit it with a heat tool, and I think we'll go on to our stamping and coloring. So I've cut down our panel for an A2 sized card, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I've put our large image from the Chrysanthemum XL stamp set. This will be gorgeous for fall. And I'm going to ink it up with my sticky Versamark ink because we're going to do some heat embossing. So I'm going to take my image and apply it to our watercolor paper. I'm going to do it twice. This just covers my butt because watercolor paper does have a little bit more texture than a normal paper that I would use for coloring. So I just want to make sure I get a really good stamped image. And then I'm going to add some detailed copper embossing powder, heat it, and we'll be back in 1 second. So there it is, nice and shiny and heated all the way through. And now we're going to add just a little bit of color using some Copic markers over top that, right over top the color. Okay, and let's get you in a little closer here. Let's start by picking some colors here. So I'm going to show a little bit of coloring. I won't show you the whole image. It is kind of hard to see with the, the embossing powder, but I'm just going to do a little bit of coloring and then we'll finish off the card. So I've got a really deep red burgundy type color scheme here. I'm going to start with my darkest, which is an R39, and I just want a little bit of it in the shadows. And then we're going to pull out a little bit more with our mid-tone, which is an R37. And then we're going to pull that out even more with an R32. And if you have to go in and blend them, then I will do that. But that should do it, and that's what I'm going to do for, I'll do a few more petals for you here. And do a touch of that dark color underneath where the other petals overlap. And that's what I'm going to do to color my chrysanthemum. I would color a little bit more for you guys. I'll go and put some shadow here too. But my my phone is on a low battery here, so I don't have enough battery to come and share the whole process with you. There we go. So I just blended that out. So I put a little bit of my medium tone in there, and I think I will put just a tiny bit of our dark tone, which is the R39, just to get a little bit of shadow. Okay, so I'm going to go in and color it with that color combination, and I'll be back with you and share the finished colored bloom. Okay? So I've colored up my chrysanthemum. I did actually pull in a little bit of Y17 just to bring out some orange tones in the petals. So I've cut a mask out of masket paper using the coordinating die. Sorry. And we're going to peel off the mask. This mask is actually clear, so you can actually see your image right straight through it. And this is the curlicue that's kind of twisted, so we'll kind of start there. Kind of lay it down. That looks pretty good. It's going to be a little bit larger, of course, than the image. So we'll just use some pressure and make some nice contact there. We'll use the other piece to hold it down. Okay, now we're going to take our Copic airbrush system. I'm just going to turn it on under my desk. Right. And I'm going to go back to my R39. I'm going to pull a scrap piece of paper here just for a second. What I do is I always test out my system or my marker before I'm going to put it in backwards. Normally you would put the chisel end in, but when you put this nib in, it gives you a splatter effect instead of a finer spray. So what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of spatter just in the background. There we go. And I think I'll go and find a rich brown. Here, let's try an E49. Again, always test it first. Sometimes your markers aren't quite juicy enough. So I'm being kind of sparing with this one. So you can test different colors. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so we can peel off our mask here. There we go. Gave a halo, but I'm okay with a halo. It's kind of pretty actually. Let's go put a sentiment on here and finish this off. Alright, so before I do my sentiment here, I just took a stitch rectangle die and I cut a panel out like so, and now we'll figure out what we're doing for our sentiment. So I've die cut this little teeny tiny happy word, and I'm just holding it down with a piece of tape here. I'm going to color in this die cut to match the colors of my chrysanthemum. So there's my R37. And I'm going to put the R39 on the bottom. It's not a lot of difference between the colors, but there we go. And I'm just going to take that R37 and just blend that line there, making sure that I've got all my word. Okay, so that's ready to go. And then we're going to use the Giving Thanks sentiment from the Fortunes of Fall stamp set. And I'm actually going to put it together so it says Thanksgiving instead of Giving Thanks. So I'm going to do some stamp surgery and just carefully cut the two words apart and then put them on my stamp platform and stamp that out. So I'm going to go off and do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, we've got all our parts. I'm going to start by putting the frame on, and we're going to pop it up. I'm just going to cut this foam tape into 3 strips here. Oop. I'm going to go down the long side first. Oop. Cut off our excess here. Set that aside for 2 seconds. Cut this other piece in half. All right, we'll go down our other long side. Trim it off. Do the bottom and the top. Press it on real good. Just use my last 2 little pieces there. There we go. And let's put it on the card base first. This is an A2 sized card, top folding. So it's 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. If I can get the backing tape off here. Okay. Okay, we'll get our frame. Now I'm going to put a fair amount of adhesive on the back just because it's so warped. I'm going to come in with my Scotch ATG and I'm going to cover pretty much the whole entire thing so I can smooth it down. Just going to go across the bottom and the top, and then I just fold any of the adhesive back. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to put that down inside the frame. There we go. And then you just have to press it in and make sure it's all firmly compacted at the bottom there. Then we're going to put in our Thanksgiving aspect of our sentiment, and I'm going to trim this like so. And I'm going to add adhesive to the back, making sure there's nothing sticking out. I'm going to tuck it underneath. There we go. And then I'm going to use a little bit of wet glue. And I'm just going to add just enough glue so that it doesn't like super seep out. but enough that it's going to hold everything down in place. There we go. And I'm going to use my tweezers to put that on. And let's see, maybe we'll offset it instead of putting it right above. There we go. And I still think we need a little bit more detail, and I think I'm going to maybe add some fun enamel dots. Okay, got some fun burgundy colored dots that I think will match really nicely, and I think I'll stick to the medium-sized dots and the little dots. So we'll put a couple down here. Oop, sorry. And maybe one up there. And oh, maybe I will use a larger one here. We'll put one there, and then I'll go back to the tiny ones. There we go, just a little bit more interest for our card. And there it is, one Thanksgiving card, because here in Canada, we actually celebrate in October. So I'm just getting ready to send them out to my family because our Thanksgiving is only in a few weeks. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I've inspired you to create something autumn inspired, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.